Trump's cabinet members, again, the most important people he's picked to run the agencies, had reached a kind of breaking point about what they call Elon Musk's chainsaw approach here to the cuts. And the meeting was in the cabinet room. The president was presiding, 20 officials attending. Then the Veterans Affairs Secretary, Doug Collins, using this opportunity to go after the way Musk has fired veterans and officials who work at the VA. We heard from one this week, for example. And what's interesting here, as you're going to see, is the dissent, the concern is internal. It's not just people protesting or people who've been ousted from the government. This is Trump's pick for the VA, saying Musk should not wield a blunt instrument and cleave off everyone from Veterans Affairs. They need to be strategic.
It has been an unusually, or really, should I say, usually bad week for Donald Trump, which is why I was so surprised he decided to take questions on Air Force One from the press, considering how many stories are out there about not only the MAGA civil war in his own White House, but in Congress as well, and the numerous scandals he is battling back. But Donald Trump did go in front of the press, and when he was met with questions about that MAGA civil war, ELON and Marco Rubio, he just threw ELON under the bus and admitted what we all know, and we are going to get into that. And the rest of the ridiculous things he had to say in his little mini press gaggle. But before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button, it goes a long way. And it really does mean a lot to me now. Before we can get into what Trump said, of course we need the context on this developing story from Ari Melber right here.
The Times reports that Musk basically ended up in a clash, a conflict with much of the cabinet. That was Thursday this week. And laced into these other officials, some of whom are important, right? If you're picked to run the State Department, you are a pretty important official within the government. And just to put it clearly, we are talking right now about an unelected billionaire sitting in on these important meetings and going at people in very intense terms. And the substance matters, as well as, quite frankly, the emotion and the gossip of this, because it's all part of how this government is being run. Musk going at Secretary of State Rubio, according to the New York Times, basically saying that Rubio was not firing anybody. Quote, "You have fired nobody." And Rubio responds, what about the more than 1,500 State Department officials who took early retirement in buyouts? Didn't they count as layoffs? Rubio asking then sarcastically if Musk wanted him to rehire all those people just so he could make a show of firing them again. These are two people at odds over the department that Rubio runs, and the subtext there is about who is being honest or accurate and who is just trying to put on a show. Musk then, the Times reports, was, quote, unimpressed and told Rubio actually he was the show, that he was, quote, good on TV. The subtext, the Times says, being that he was not good for much else. And let's be clear, both of these men have risen in their careers through some aspect of public show. Rubio ran for president. Musk was on the campaign trail. He's made himself into a big deal out in public, but that's how they deride each other in private, basically saying, you're not for real. No, you're not for real. No, you just do it on TV. Here we are talking about it on TV. Now, the Times reports the meeting was actually hastily scheduled because Trump's cabinet members, again, the most important people he's picked to run the agencies, had reached a kind of breaking point about what they call Elon Musk's chainsaw approach here to the cuts. And the meeting was in the cabinet room. The president was presiding, 20 officials attending. Then the Veterans Affairs Secretary, Doug Collins, using this opportunity to go after the way Musk has fired veterans and officials who work at the VA. We heard from one this week, for example. And what's interesting here, as you're going to see, is the dissent, the concern is internal. It's not just people protesting or people who've been ousted from the government. This is Trump's pick for the VA, saying Musk should not wield a blunt instrument and cleave off everyone from Veterans Affairs. They need to be strategic. Then you have Sean Duffy, who...
So what we expected to play out has Donald Trump's allowing Elon Musk to attack federal agencies on his own whims and his own will, and no elected position is backfiring. What a shock the Control-F delete all government. is not one that actually works. And while these cabinet secretaries were more than happy for Elon to cut Social Security or him to go after Medicaid when it comes to their employees, then they start to get upset. They don't care that Elon wants to take Social Security check away. They don't care that Elon Musk is trying to strip people of their health care. They don't care that Elon Musk is going after FA agents. Well, Shan Duffy does. But now that he has gotten personal with them, oh, now it's a big problem. And Donald Trump actually admitted to that big problem that MAGA has been denying as much as possible when he was asked about it right here.
All four are good.
You have said there's no feud between your cabinet members and Elon Musk. You even had dinner with him last night, Secretary Rubio. However, tensions are high between your cabinet and Mr. Musk. How are you going to simmer down tensions? Does Mr. Musk need to back off?
Well, I don't think the tensions are high. Look, Elon's a very special person, and these cabinet people are special people. You know, these are very successful people, or they wouldn't have gotten, you know, they've attained the highest heights of government. And I think they have a fantastic relationship to Elon. And Doge has been incredible. You know, hundreds of billions of dollars of waste and fraud and abuse has been already found. And that doesn't mean they don't have a little bit of an argument here and there about something, or maybe personnel arguments. There's not too many contract arguments. You know, contracts have been found. This is much more than just personnel. We found hundreds of billions of dollars of fraudulent contracts, or very wasteful, but I think fraud. I think it's fraud.
There was just another plane crash.
And I think really the cabinet, for the most part, I think they get along really well with Elon.
So we saw the Trump tweet over the weekend of him saying there couldn't be a better relationship between Marco Rubio and Elon Musk. He put it in all caps how they're absolute best buddies, but this kind of goes against that idea, which was clearly false. You heard him slip it in there at the end. And I said this in a different video. Trump, not very subtle, but this was a slight kind of nod at what's actually going on. Yes, the little fights happen. My little fighty means the screaming matches within the Senate meeting. Not a shock there, but yeah, Trump is admitting it. Elon Musk is pissing off everyone in his administration, and that is not shocking. And it's also not shocking that Donald Trump doesn't really seem to care. Sure, he took back Elon's ability to fire people, but did he really? I don't actually believe that Elon's power, after doing a little bit of looking into it over the past couple of days, has been restricted in any meaningful way. Because him and Donald Trump both equally do not care about the government being destroyed. They actually welcome. It's why Donald Trump had this response to a question right here.
Just another plane crash in Pennsylvania today. Secretary Duffy's big concern is his department is being gutted. He's been, dealing with these crashes ever since he was sworn in. Does he have a legitimate concern?
Well, that has nothing to do with the department. That was a small plane, and that would have happened whether you had a big department or a small department, as you understand. It's just they have space like this. You know, they have times when things happen a little bit more often than normal, and then it goes back and you go many years without having a problem. I'll tell you, I think the Southwest pilot did a fantastic job last week when he lifted that plane off the air, because if he put the brakes on, that wouldn't have been good. And I think the license should be maybe revoked for the plane that got in away from the pilot, revoked for the plane that got in its way. But the way he immediately stepped in the gas and lifted up, as opposed to, thinking for about 3 seconds when it would have been too late. The Southwest pilot or pilots they did a great job.
Trump doesn't care. And Elon Musk doesn't care if flights are crashing. They fly on their private planes, or they're flying on Air Force One. They don't care if the FAA is stripped of more air traffic controllers. They don't care if it's deregulated. They don't care if Elon Musk takes a multi-million-dollar contract and gives it to his own company, which is not qualified to fulfill that multi-million-dollar contract because it didn't win that contract in the first place. They don't care. They are in their own little billion billionaire bubble. It's the reason why they're not worried about anything that affects us. This is the no empathy administration. They don't worry about anything that concerns us. They just want to slash government, make themselves richer, and hang out with their buddies. They also don't care about people around the world very clearly unless it's a dictator praising them, which is why Trump had this response to a question about Russia.
China and Iran are doing military exercises together. Does that concern you?
No, not at all. Not at all.
Why not?
Because we're stronger than all of them. We have more power than all of them. I rebuilt the military. Unfortunately, Biden did nothing with it, but I rebuilt the military. But we don't want to even talk about that. I think
if our adversaries are working together on military strategy, you might think that the president would be worried, and the only exception to that is if the president is actively siding with those adversaries. Donald Trump is falling more in line with Putin every single day and being pretty obvious about it, saying that, oh, well, Russia, they're fine. What are they going to do to us? Well, we're buddies. It's just kind of straight up admitting it. And talk about admitting it. Donald Trump earlier today, shifting from foreign policy to the domestic, made it pretty clear that, yeah, his policies are just bad. It was asked about that right here.
where are we? Are we just about? We're just about ready to land.
Are you worried about a recession? Maria Bartiromo asked you, and you kind of hesitated.
I'll tell you what, of course you hesitate. Who knows? All I know is this: we're going to take in hundreds of billions of dollars in tariffs, and we're going to become so rich, you're not going to know where to spend all that money. I'm telling you, you just watch. We're going to have jobs, we're going to have open factories, it's going to be great, and the plane is landing, and thank you for a lot of good questions, okay? Thank you very much, everybody.
He knows the terrorists don't work. Right. This is the funny tariff thing about with Trump. It's that he's pulling back on the tariffs at the same time that he says the tariffs are great. He did this with auto manufacturers. He said, well, we're not going to tariff vehicles. We're not going to do that. But the tariffs are great. But at the same time, if they were so great, why wouldn't you raise them? We've seen him multiple times. Either get rid of them entirely or saying we're going from 25% to 15 or 10. If the tariffs are so great, why not make them 100%? He doesn't know how he wants to frame it. I don't even know if he likes them anymore. Maybe he just likes the word. It's just confusing. And it's clearly confusion and chaos that is not good for the economy. And Trump was asked about that right here.
Go ahead. What else?
President,
Americans who have seen their retirements accounts fall in recent day are getting very nervous about these tariff conversations.
Oh, I think the tariffs are going to be the greatest thing we've ever done as a country. It's going to make our country rich again. We have many companies, as you know, auto companies are opening up plants now. We've had 4 or 5 announced already, but many more are coming. And we're basically going to take back the money, a lot of the money that we've given away over many decades. We've lost our jobs, we've lost our factories. We've lost 90,000 factories since the beginning of NAFTA. It's not that long ago. 90,000 factories, think of that. And we're going to get them back. And they're coming back, and they're coming back in records. Look at what happened with the big chip company, the biggest in the world. By far the most powerful chip company in the world, from Taiwan. And they're going in with $200 billion of money, and they're going to build something that's going to give us 35-40% of the chip market in one company. No, it's going to bring it back, and I think it's going to make us bring us to a level that we've never had before.
This man promised he would lower costs and make you richer. He's doing the opposite. What a shock, Donald Trump breaking a promise and then giving a bad explanation for why he broke that promise. This is nothing new. This should not shock us, but something that is new and coming up. Wait, something that Donald Trump finished this press conference with, I think we need to talk about at the end, right here.
The Democrats are out of control. You saw that the other night during the speech when they wouldn't stand up for 2 of the young ladies were killed by illegal aliens, one with the cancer, the young man with the cancer, and all you want to do is stand up and applaud the man and the boy. A young boy, and Nobody's ever seen anything like that. They're out of control. They've lost their mind.
So I've seen a lot of conversation about this, people critiquing Democrats who did not stand up for the, I believe he was a 13-year-old kid recovering from or still battling brain cancer, who was an honorary Secret Service agent who Donald Trump brought as a political prop. And Democrats didn't stand and clap, or not. All Democrats stood and clapped at the address to the joint session, and for the people who have a problem with this, I don't know, should we allow Donald Trump to humanize himself by using this child as a prop when he is slashing pediatric cancer research? No, I'm not going to clap. I'm not going to cheer for your little stunt when we know what your actions are. I'm not going to pretend that everything's all normal. So for the Democrats who didn't stand and clap, good, why would you do not legitimize this guy in any way? It's what we're always talking about, is what we're going to keep calling out on this show if you want to support that. As always, you can hit that subscribe button, you can leave a like on this video, and if you're stuck around at the end, you can drop a blue heart in the comments. And until next time, I'll see you soon.